My top 10 favorite book covers of all time. And by of all time, I mean that I own, not even including the ones that I don't currently have on me at the moment. So the ones I'm lending out, and also not including any special editions that I own. There's really no place for me to not including any special editions that I own. Obviously, if this and this and then this, if I was allowing these would obviously be in my top 10, probably my top 3, but that's cheating, so I'm not going to do that. Really quickly, I know I was supposed to have my video review of the Live Ship Trader series, but I got distracted watching Ethan Klein versus Hassan Piker, and so now I need something that I can put out in less time because that video is not ready yet. Starting off, we have The Failures by Benjamin Lyer. Wow, this is really glary, holy shit. I'm like halfway through this one-ish, maybe a little bit less. I think the cover is absolutely sick, not just because of the artwork, but I think he did the fonts of the names really well, the name of the book and his name. And I think that his last name is Liar. Like, it completely adds so much aura to this book cover. If you have a hard time telling what this is a mountain up here, and there's like a sun right here, and then there's like underneath the mountain, and there's like mechanical gears, passageways, stairwells right here. I don't know if you can see that, just to signify that there is like life and cities beneath the mountain. And up on the surface, it's exactly what it looks like. There's a mountain, and that's where the rest of the people live, and then there's just nothing but darkness that surrounds it. I think it's cool. I might put it higher. I'm not sure, because I haven't finished it yet, and I'm not like even halfway through. I'm not super attached to it yet, but I do think it was cool enough to make it at the very least into the number 10 spot. All right, now this next one might come as a shock to, I don't know, anybody who knows me. I feel like also if you're just a book bro in general. Now, while this wasn't my favorite in the series not by a long shot, I think this does have my favorite artwork. This is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. We have Dalinar up on the roof holding The Way of Kings, which is the name of the first book in the series, but also an in-world book. I really like the landscape. It shows the scale of the things that are happening in this book. And honestly, this artwork feels like the most modern, I think, out of the Stormlight Archive series. I think this one is the coolest out of the Stormlight Archive series. I think next would probably be Way of Kings, maybe? I don't know. I think that just the way that this artist draws people on the covers of these books, except for this one, I think because the back is turned and The Way of Kings, but I feel like it gives it like an older vibe. You know what I mean? It's giving like 80s high epic fantasy vibes. You know what I mean? Like they should be Wheel of Time covers or something. I don't know. But this one felt very sleek and very modern. And that's something that I do like. I mean, you'll see that these are all very modern style covers over here. While I do love my Realm of the Elderlings collection, because it's a bunch of small paperbacks with a lot of OG artwork, I love them because they're old, and I do like the design. You know what I mean? Does that like kind of make sense? I like them because they feel like a piece of history, and it's cool in that aspect. But I think all of these designs, for my personal taste, are ones that I like more. Next, I think this is one of 2 books with a person on the cover, which I know a lot of us don't like, and I'm included in that. I think it's not pulled off well a lot of the time, but I think this one is like super sick. We have Harrow the Ninth here. I was really debating between Harrow and Gideon, but what ultimately settled it for me was that I'm currently lending Gideon out right now, so I don't have it. At the end of the day, I do think it is super sick. I think Harrow looks like an absolute just total badass. I really think that the font for Harrow on top of her, I really think that it completes the vibe with it. And I also think that this little blue stripe on the end, I don't know if it can be counted as the cover, but I guess that you can just see it. I think it does count because, it's like part of the front when you look at it. I don't know. I think she's just drawn super well. I think her face just looks like super sick. This is probably my second favorite ever depiction of a human, and especially a human facing the front. You can see their front side on a book that I've ever seen or read, to be honest. A lot of the times I feel like it's hard in fantasy and sci-fi to have a human on the front but not come off as like older vibes, which I think is a problem that 3 of the Stormlight books deal with. But this one, and I think in the other 2 books as well, I'll throw them up here. You like that? I think they are very similar. I do not like the fake sticker on it. If this didn't have the fake sticker, it would probably be up 1 or 2 places, but I'm not exactly consistent with the fake sticker rule, as you'll see later on. I think the vibes that this book just gives are just one of the most epic things. All right, now in terms of my minimalist designs that I really like, and I think a lot of people agree with me, I have the Will of the Many. There's just something about a really cool, sleek, minimalist design. Usually I'm a minimalist hater, but I think every minimalist hater has their exception. exception, and this one is my exception. Do I have any other minimalist ones? I don't think I do, actually. I mean, it's not really minimalist, and it doesn't really like show or tell you anything about the book, in my opinion, except that you can like take a guess that there's some like Roman themes or something, Roman world building or Roman related anything in it. But I do think that it just looks really cool, and you see it in the bookstore when you take it out and you're like, huh, it's the type of cover that you automatically want to look inside and see what the hell it's about, if even that. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, I genuinely think the cover is the reason why I read it. I saw that they were changing it, not changing it, but the deluxe edition has a different cover, which I misinterpreted as they were getting rid of this one and changing it to that one. And so I like this cover so much, I panic bought it because I thought it was going away. It's just so clean. And I feel like it's not even that minimalist. The text goes so well with the drawings of the pillars and the backgrounds. And I really feel like a lot of authors, especially indie male white fantasy authors, they just sometimes have a really beautiful artwork or design, but they just absolutely butcher the font of the title. I see this all the time. I'm like, God, it feels like such a waste of artwork, and makes me so sad. And also the placement of the text. So not only do you have a font that doesn't fit with the artwork, but you also have it placed really awkwardly. And a lot of times there's not really enough contrast between the font color and the artwork itself like this. The blue really blends in well with the gold, to the point where there's enough blue to where the white is easily readable, where if it was more like all gold-ish, then I think the white would be harder to read, and I'm not gonna have room to stack these. Next, we have a book that I have not read yet, which is crazy because I put The Failures at number 10, even though I'm not finished reading it, but I have one that I have not read higher than that. It is The Surviving Sky. It's just another thing where the landscape and the artwork is just so beautiful. This like Sky Island thing is like one of the best depictions I've ever seen on a cover of some sort of landscape or mountain or literally anything. And then like the font goes so well. It's for the most part in the places where it contrasts the most, and it's incorporated into the cover. Look, you can see like right here on the end, it's like being covered a little bit. There's something over the V, there's something over the K here. It's being incorporated into the mask itself, the landmass. I think that is so sick, and I truly just think that the artwork looks so beautiful. It just goes so well. The font of the text, you have to have something skinny because you put all this work into this beautiful landscape, and you don't want a fat font to be able to just like obscure it so you can't see the art. So you have a really great font placed really well, incorporated into the actual design of the landmass, you know. And then you have the author's name down here. You have a blurb up on top just to like build more space. I mean, I guess, yeah, you obviously need the author's name somewhere, but like for this book, you know, the artwork and the title is the main thing. It's making it very clear that it is using the artwork, the cover of this book, to get you to buy it. And I appreciate that. Clearly, this author put a lot of time into thinking about their cover, and I love that because I think it turned out so beautiful. The next book we have is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is the hardcover version that I got like a year after it was released, I think, maybe. I mean, it's just beautiful. You know, the contrast between the title and the author's name with the rest of the book is just done so well, and it really makes it pop. The fonts that are used look very appropriate with the rest of the book, and it makes everything stand out more, not just the name, but the artwork itself. It really draws your attention to the middle and the names in the gold. What is this, number 5? This is my 5th one. I have not been keeping track. I've not been counting, so that's my bad. Next, we have Blood Over Brighthaven. I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. I think it's just really unique. You know, I think this is probably one of the more unique covers I've ever seen, you know, especially with the way the text curves around. Over here, it's not exactly straight like I think every other book here. It looks to me that M.L. Wong really wanted to show the, what is the machine called in this book? I can't remember. The graphing machine or something like that. I don't remember. But you know, if you have this long ass name anywhere that's not going around it, it's gonna obscure the art somehow. Beautiful. Like, I have such a hard time seeing this book be covered any other way. I've seen other editions. The other edition, I don't know if there's more than one, but I've seen another edition of this, and this one, in my opinion, is just vastly superior. I think that one is cool. It's got like Siona on the front of it, I think, but there's no way you can pull off the text placement of that edition when you have this graphing machine pictured in the middle without obscuring it. I also really like this. I think this is a really cool touch. I think it's like, not planets, like I can't remember, might be nothing. I just think it's cool. The font goes really well. Font selection is so key, guys, in my opinion, and the amount of people who butcher it makes me really sad. All right, let's enter our top 3. We have The Dollmakers by Lynn Buchanan. This is my second exception for having a person on the front cover. Is this not just like so beautiful? Look at it. I love how the glare is so minimal against the lights. The character artwork, she looks beautiful. Her dress looks amazing. Whoever did this has crazy skills. The way it's all very similar in color, the font of the doll makers, the way that the picture of Sean takes up the entire thing. That way you can afford some decent text placement. You can make it large or whatever. It would not really obscure it. I think really makes this. I think if it was more smaller and she wasn't as big a part of it, it was like maybe half the size and there was more landscape, then you would have a problem, especially when it comes to where you're going to place the text. I guess you could just put it on top. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I just think it's beautiful. This book came out very recently, like a year ago, less than a year ago, in like August, I think. Got the little Brando Sando blurb at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. I do think that this was risky, okay? This is one of those instances, I think, where the artwork is just so amazing, but it could so easily be butchered by the font and text placement. This was a risky play, but I think it turned out so well. Now for the second book, my second favorite book cover of all time that I own. Sorry for the voice crack. I know I was talking shit about fake stickers, but like I have to. Look at that. The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I think this is the most beautiful landscape depiction I've ever seen on a book ever in my entire life. This is the UK cover, I think. God, look at that, dude. I love the choice of font and the choice of color of the text and the placement of it because it doesn't obscure the artwork. It is thin and it contrasts really well. You see the title and then you focus really heavily on the landscape. You focus really heavily on this. It's a kite, some dragon, somebody on a kite. The water here, the ships, the mountains, the sky. This is a wolf, by the way. I don't know if you can see it. I think the beautiful flowers. This is not one of the best depictions of a landscape you've ever seen in a fantasy book. This like low-key looks like a scene taken straight out of Lord of the Rings, even though this is like Asian inspired fantasy. It just looks so fantastic. This is the second most beautiful cover of any book I own. All right, finally, what is my number one favorite book cover of all time? Okay, I moved those books out of the way because it was messing with my camera's auto exposure. We have The Adventures of Amina Asarafi. I believe this is the same cover artist who did Priory of the Orange Tree and then Day of Fallen Night, I think by Samantha Shannon. And I've not read those books, but for my own future novels, this is the type of vibe that I want for my own covers. I think that this is just so beautiful, so colorful, so vibrant. I look at this and even though I see a deadly giant octopus monster squid thing attacking the freaking ship of our heroes, it just looks like such a happy, fun time. And that's really what I love so much in covers. That's why this is my number one, okay? Because it's beautiful and it gives happy vibes. And I love happy vibes. If you don't know, this takes place in the Indian Ocean area, more towards the Middle East on that side in like what, the 1400s or like the Middle Ages or something like that. I don't remember. I think it's the Middle Ages. And I think the choice in font here low key helps give that vibe whilst having the rest of the artwork give a more modern vibe. I don't know. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. And then we have here the author at the bottom, white text, contrasts really well against the blue. It just looks amazing. This is my favorite cover. I think this is so beautiful. I feel like if I had those Samantha Shannon books, those would probably be in here somewhere, but I don't own them. This is my favorite thing. Not my favorite book, but this is my favorite cover. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a favorite cover that you want to let me see, let me know the name of the book down in the comments below and the edition that it is, whether it's UK, US, or some other country, and I will look it up and tell you my thoughts. Make sure you check out my wishlist, my sponsor links in the description, and follow all my socials, also linked in the description. And yeah, I'll see you next time.